So I do think there've been similarities. Like on Facebook, there's been, are we dating the same guy? And there's been those sort of groups that people get caught up in.
Blacklist.
Yeah.
But I think that with these groups, what's going to happen is that, yes, there'll be some legitimate things here and there about certain guys. But if there's a bad experience that there's been no fault of the guy and actually the relationship hasn't worked out very well, somebody's posted on there, then there will be some people that will ultimately be like, oh yeah, I don't like this guy, therefore I'm going to say X, Y, and Z about him. And that's going to tarnish and smear somebody's name.
100%.
And I think that there's no way to really police these things.
We back at it again, Far From Normal podcast. Damn, summer is rolling. It's rolling so fast. It's
hot,
crazy.
Man. It's hot today.
Today's really hot. It's gonna get up to like what, 33 degrees. I'm not sure what.
It's gonna feel like 41. All right. It's gonna be up there.
Humidity is gonna be bad. So luckily we're starting the podcast early, so we don't have to deal with that.
100%.
We do have two special guests on the panel today. We got Dr. Francis in the building.
Let's get it.
We got Andrew in the building.
Let's get it.
So for the two guests that we do have on, it is their first time, so this is gonna be quite an experience for them. Tell me a little bit about your weekend. How has that been going so far? We'll start with Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me here, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Like you said, it's kind of been hot, to say the least. But I've tried to make the most of, just getting some errands done and also just being outside.
Okay.
Especially for somebody who predominantly works from home. It's like I try to balance that where it's like, all right, the hours that I have, just be outside, enjoy the festivals, just be out with nature. Pretty much it.
Sounds good, man. That's good. Francis, how about yourself?
Yeah, likewise. So basically, obviously it's my first summer in Toronto.
Yeah.
So
how's that going?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, I'm under good stewardship. You guys have obviously shown me the ropes, which has been great. So just balancing work. Because obviously I work as a family doctor. Okay. So it's been nice to have evenings to go out, explore, go out for food, go to the festivals, meet new people, and just try and network in general.
I always find that fun and exciting, like in the summertime, to reconnect with people that you didn't connect with in the wintertime, because I feel like a lot of the times when winter comes around and 8 months of the year, we're indoors, right? And we're not really connecting. We don't have festivals going on. We don't have now they have like little fitness events that they try to curate during the wintertime just so people can stay connected. But for the most part, most people are indoors. They're doing their own thing, whether that's hitting the gym individually or just in their own independent gyms or stuff of that sort. There's not much of a connection. I think they need to now, I think Toronto in general needs to figure out how people could connect during the winter seasons. Because summer is amazing, so many street festivals, so many things going on. So you can always connect, but how do you deal with the winters when, 8 months of the year is just completely darkness and snow all over the place, streets are terrible? What do you think?
Well, I wanted even to ask about just happiness and do you think that, the seasons affect your mood? Do you think that, because it's summer right now, and I notice in summer I do feel like an extra sense of energy and purpose, because I feel like I want to get out there. I want to go do stuff. I want to see stuff. And maybe the reason I feel that way is because I don't want to take the summer for granted. I know it's short, right? Yeah, so we do know summers in Canada especially, they can last maybe 3-4 months and then you're back to that cold winter. So I think I wanted to just ask you guys and have your opinion on this. Do you think the season is attached to your mood? Do you think summer affects your mood compared to winter? Comparatively, do you think that's on you, just in terms of what you're doing, what you're getting up to? Or is it based on the temperature and the sunlight? What do you guys think about that?
I think massively so, because I think that in the winter months in particular, there's social isolation. And obviously we all know that all your hormones, whether it's your endorphins or your serotonin, things of that nature, they are improved by social interactions and being around people. And even from a work perspective, I definitely see an influx of people presenting with mental health conditions, whether it's depression, anxiety, things of that nature that happen more so in the wintertime. And I also obviously feel that during the winter time, you don't have the same outlets. You have to be more proactive in terms of finding those outlets.
100%.
So like you said, obviously it's important to try and find niches of people together that you can kind of connect with and bond with around those times.
Andrew, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, at least from my experiences, summer is the opportunity to build those connections or rekindle some of those connections that were kind of like dormant during the previous winter. And then I'd expand on that. And so with that opportunity, when it comes to the following winter, depending on how close those relationships are, you then kind of like have a certain group of people to engage in certain activities, even though it's limited. I think that you have that options of people to engage with. I think something that I also just try to do is here and there periodically just have conversations, especially now with the smartphone. Accessibility around the world is limitless. You know what I mean? So just even like having a conversation could be like 30 minutes, 1 hour. It just helps kind of like build that connection and have that social closeness, so to speak, even in the winter months. That's what it's been working for me.
So when you say conversation, are you just talking about any random individual that you come across, or you're talking about within a community setting?
I think it would have to be with somebody that you mutually have built some sort of like relationship and have some sort of vibe. Yes, you can speak really to anybody, but for it to be more meaningful, so it could be like friends, for example, that let's say on the other side of the world who, you know, you don't really interact with as much or as often. Or it could be people that you've met within the community where you're engaging about, whether it's about life, lifestyle, networking, business. It just really varies. Like sometimes, at least the way I'm looking at it, it doesn't necessarily have to be something big of an activity in order for you to like have that sense of enjoyment. Just simple conversation.
Okay. Well, I have another question for you guys. Gym first or grind first?
Gym first.
Which one is it?
I think that even if you think about it seasonally as well, I think that we all get into the sort of routine of grinding. And I think that in the winter, it makes it easier to grind in some perspectives because that whole idea of FOMO is not really there because there's not much to do. So
100%.
you're willing to get your head down. You're willing to put those extra hours in, those extra shifts in, and make sure that you're optimizing whatever capital it is you're trying to attain at that time. The difficulty that I find right now is in the summer, particularly being in a new setting, it's difficult to get that balance right because I'm thinking the grind don't stop, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're able to try and socialize, meet people. And obviously, a battle that I tend to have is like when you're looking on social media and you're seeing people are doing stuff.
100%. Do you suffer from FOMO as well, Andrew, or are you able?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. And I think something that I've really been trying to like push myself to do is limit that FOMO. So limit how much I say look or engage with Instagram, for example. You know, because it's so routine for some people. First thing you wake up, you look at social media. And then whatever, depending on what activity you see, the FOMO sets right from the beginning. So how you, I think, manage and control that balance is such a key element. So definitely, when there's sometimes where you just need to like grind in, I just just mute my phone. And I don't check it until like, I don't know, certain breaks or at the end of the day.
Okay. So how do you guys stay motivated during the times when things get hard and you feel like your balance is off, your equilibrium's off? How do you center your gravity?
I think that the important thing for me is having goals, or at least having, whether it's a vacation or an event that you think to yourself, okay, I can need to get to this 4-week check mark or the 4-week checkpoint. And I think that breaking things into chunks is something that I've always tried to do in order to make sure that I stay motivated, because I think even the most disciplined, because obviously there's having the motivation, which will wane at times, but I think that so long as you're present in certain situations, and obviously that relates to the gym, there are times when you don't want to be there, but
100%.
actually you get the session done, and afterwards you think, okay, I've managed to achieve something. So I think that having regular checkpoints is important, because a long 3, 4, 5 month winter is a long period of time. So having something to look forward to in that time period is always key, I think.
That's right.
Yeah,
But even when it comes to like even social media, I know you guys were just talking about the FOMO effect and, you know, waking up, you know, you see somebody's in Dubai or somebody's on a beach somewhere in Miami or whatever the case may be. And you feel like, damn, like, you know, and I'm here grinding, I'm here doing my thing. But obviously it's timing, right? Everyone has their own time. I think when you have the understanding of life's about timing, you start to realize that that's that person's time to go on their vacation. Your time is tomorrow, or your time's another week or month from now or a year from now. I think you have to be fine with what your circumstances are and quit comparing yourself to what's going on, because the outside world's big. There's many people that are doing many different things, and you'll never be able to do everything, right? You'll never be able to grasp everything. So I think when I decide to look at social media a lot of the times, especially when I'm in grind mode, I think, well, I guess I don't look at social media that much actually when I'm in grind mode. I guess that's the thing. I guess I start to think in the sense of not isolation, but distance. I like to distance myself from social media and just maybe not pay attention to what's going on, even though they're my friends and people I care about and stuff of that nature. I think sometimes it's better to disengage and not really pay attention to what people have going on, because frankly, it's none of your business. Sure. I mean, they posted it publicly, but you don't need to buy into it. You don't need to pay attention to everything everybody's doing. So I think once you get to that point, then you can kind of get away from the FOMO. I think you always feel the effects, though. I think you do always feel the effects, but I know for me this year I've been grinding hard, so I just been focused on that, and I noticed the less I paid attention to social media, the less FOMO effect I've had, because like you said, goal setting. I set the goals that I have, and I have a goal for the end of the year, so I say to myself, let this be my motivation, right? So a lot of things I do look at might be motivational rather than like vanity type of things and all that. So I think you might have to change your framework of your social media if you get caught up in that. You might just not be following the right people or the right things that that might in turn turn you depressed, like you know, make you feel depressed at least. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think me personally, I think it kind of depends on the individual. I think some people are better suited to incorporate social media in their life, and their lifestyle, so they're able to still be motivated, but at the same time still being up to date with what's going on global affairs, or what's going on with their friend circles, or you know, networking and just keeping in touch. Because the thing is, social media is now part of our lifestyle. It's been there for a while now. So in order for us to continue to grow, we got to adapt, and we got to adjust, and we also have to make room for social media, because a lot of the times, like my brother said, he's not on social media, and I'll send him certain like important information. By the time he comes around full circle to send it back to me, it's like, I sent that back. I sent that to you like 3 weeks ago. Like it's a month ago. That time is already passed. You know what I mean? So you start to miss out on really valuable information. It just depends on how you use social media, and that'll determine on what type of information is being given. So I think, it's good to pull away from time to time in order to refocus, but you can't pull away for too long, because then you get set back and you're not really up to date, especially if someone's not updating you on current affairs, then you're really screwed. He's lucky I update
But
him.
my question is, like, with current affairs, what do you mean? Like, so that's what I mean. Like, Instagram or any of these social media platforms, it goes according to what you follow and what your algorithm, you know, that's what your algorithm's gonna pump out. So, and that, in turn, you have to have a page that's showing that type of stuff for it to make sense. But unfortunately, if you like funny videos and
then
you like
that's
dumb
what your algorithm is
videos,
going to be.
that's what they're gonna show you. And by the time you get on your social media, you're gonna be thinking to go follow those motivational videos. You're already getting caught in the trap of watching those other videos. So I think it's just, that's what it's designed for, to keep you on the app. That's why I say to disengage is gonna be something you have to do yourself, because the apps are meant for you to be on one way or another. So
Would you say at all that when you're in grind mode, friends and people that you're close to are understanding, or would you say that friendships sometimes come apart as a result of that?
Yeah, I've been in many situations like this, especially work-wise. I know so much people, or I've had friends that I've been longtime friends with that, you know, move out of town to work or whatever it is, usually based on work, right? And this is how I see it. When someone's focused on their life, and how I see it, like if someone's focused on their life, right? Say I have a best friend, and I know what he's up to. Like he's working, he's doing what's best for him and his life. If we are not in constant communication, or if we communicate, seldomly, I do not slight them, and I don't feel any. I guess I don't have any bad thoughts towards them. I don't think about the fact that they never talked to me in a year. I don't even think about that, because I understand that this person, now that we've chatted after a year, I know they're in a good place or in a better place because it's been a year and now we've chatted. So I can at least have a good feeling about that person to say, like, at least their life might be more on track, and that's why we're connecting again, right? Sometimes people's lives aren't on track where they want it to be. So to keep friendships or to prioritize friendships and relationships, unfortunately, it's not going to be the best situation for certain individuals if you're busy doing what you got to do. But I'm not saying you neglect those things, because sometimes if you spend too much time neglecting those things, those friends won't be there when the times when you need them, right? So I think you have to find the balance, as we were saying, where you can communicate but also do your own thing and still focus on your own livelihood and what you got going on. But I think there's room for communication as well. So
speaking of social media, I don't know who's been keeping up with WNBA and what's been going on their All-Star game. Andrew, have you been keeping up with that?
Be honest, I have not as much, but
I don't think anyone does,
but no. Well, we have to say the WNBA has been catching some steam. They've definitely gone on the airwaves, and people have been talking about them a lot. And every sports pundit, analyst, they've been talking about the WNBA for good or for bad. But we're here now, and they had the All-Star weekend, and basically they had like I don't know if you guys remember, in the NBA they used to wear like shirts for protests, where there's like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. So they wore a shirt that said pay us what you owe us, right? And the WNBA is obviously, it's underneath the NBA's umbrella, so NBA's been funding it, but they've been losing money since they've created the league. But the league has been funding them, and obviously the league can use it as a tax break, so it doesn't really affect the league to that degree. But what's your thoughts on something like that? Pay us what you owe us.
Somebody said they might be using it as a laundering scheme.
Laundering scheme, literally. That's where they hide the money. I mean, at this point, they must be making something, but I heard they're still in a deficit.
I think the main premise at the moment, from what I understand anyway, is obviously the NBA, in terms of the contracts that the players have, the players are sort of average salary is about $11 or $12 million per year. Whereas in the WNBA, it's just over 100,000, around that 100,000 mark.
106,000, I think.
And I think that from my understanding, it seems to be that obviously the WNBA aren't necessarily happy because they only get about 9% of the revenue of the entire WNBA, whereas
9%,
it's
and
50% in the NBA.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously there's a massive discrepancy on that sort of front. But like you said, it's difficult because when you're operating at a loss and you're every single year losing 10 million, 20 million, or whatever that figure is, it's difficult to then justify a salary increase, because at the same time, with the WNBA getting more attention than it has been getting with like Caitlin Clark and people along those lines, they're trying to expand, so they still need to make sure that they're doing all the franchise expansion and things of that nature to continue to grow. So it's a tough dilemma, in my opinion, because obviously I can see some of the things they're saying in terms of we don't get a similar percentage, but when you're operating in a loss, then what can you really say?
See, my thing is they're not getting enough endorsement deals, right? Because a lot of people, they don't get enough viewerships. If you're not getting enough viewerships, a lot of these sponsors, a lot of these big brands don't want to deal with you, right? A lot of these guys in the NBA that are getting paid, they're getting paid by sponsorship, by endorsement deals, right? The NBA is paying them, yes, but like their biggest checks are really coming from like the big companies like Nike, Adidas, Puma, and stuff of that sort. And I don't think they actually take that into consideration.
No, but Caitlin Clark makes a lot of money on endorsements.
Okay.
Far more
Yeah, she
than a
makes- yeah,
contract
she makes
could
way
ever.
Yeah.
I think the highest contract is like $250K for
Okay.
in the WNBA. And Caitlin Clark in endorsements. I mean, even Angel Reese in endorsements.
Yeah.
Both those women are making over. $1
But
million.
still complaining.
I don't
So-
think. I see. Here's the thing where I found it kind of interesting. The pay us what you owe us. Now, what they're asking for might make sense, you know, in terms of like what they're talking about. I don't know how much they want to get paid or what the case is. Now, you were talking about the NBA numbers, right? And obviously, the NBA has been established,
Yeah, for
been
sure.
around for long. WNBA has been around since the 90s, I think, right? 96. So, putting things in perspective of like how much the percentage discrepancy and all those things are. Of course, the league has been built, names have been built, icons have been built, brands have been built. I mean, Jordan brand, right? So there's so much things that have been built in the NBA. So it's hard to compare the two sports, and obviously in popularity alone. And then the problem with something like that, I think it's just the optics on the outside, because no one knows the inside, the details of like the TV deals and this and that. So like when we just hear pay us now, we're kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys talk?
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. It's like, who watches the WNBA? Like, we're gonna,
I mean,
like the most common man. Like, I'm not even gonna. This is a generalization, but the most common man that watches sports, if he sees that they say WNBA players want to get paid more, they're gonna be all confused. They're gonna be,
Correct.
wait,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
even watching this?
Well, first things first, who has a jersey? Like, forget about even a guy wearing a WNBA jersey. How about the women?
Well,
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen a WNBA jersey being worn by a woman?
I'm not even gonna go off of that.
No, but
point,
that's
but-
sale prices. I'm just saying that's
yeah,
sales
but that's
prices.
their league. This is what I'm just trying to say. They're not a popular enough league. I think any
Right.
league that just gets started up or just gets their momentum, I think it's hard to ask for a pay increase. That's where I found the confusion a little bit. What's your thoughts?
I agree with you. There's so many different elements in this. First of all, there's the history. So the NBA as we know it was established in 1946.
Yes.
But prior to that, there were two kind
Different
of like
leagues.
different
Yeah,
leagues,
different
but
leagues,
kind
yeah.
of like pretty much the umbrella of the NBA. They just kind of like united.
Yeah, merged out.
And then you have the WNBA that started in 1996. That's almost roughly a 50-year gap
Yeah.
from like when the NBA started. And if it was before it was the NBA, it's even longer.
Yeah.
If I'm putting in perspective, it's older than some of our parents or some grandparents.
Yeah.
So that's almost 3 generations. So and it's also in a time whereby, you know, whether we like it or not, sports was just dominated by men, and of which now there's an element where like female sports, women's sports is like picking up in popularity. So it's almost comparing apples and oranges
That's what
to a
it's
certain
hard to
degree.
compare.
The other element is the NBA has 30 teams.
They have
WNBA only has 12.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a small
So again,
league.
It's a much smaller market. And so in order to be able to ask for the same amount of pay, I get where it's coming from, but it's a little bit tricky. Apparently, a lot of these women in the WNBA during the off season, they go play abroad.
Of course.
Yeah,
Because
of
they're trying to
course.
make up
Yeah.
the
They're
money.
Trying to make up the
Yeah,
money.
they're trying to make up. That's how Brittany.
I didn't even know that actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how Brittany
Oh, wow.
Griner got
Brit-
into.
Her
That's where they
problem-
blamed it on,
Right.
Because they're like, if you paid the woman enough, like she wouldn't have to be going to
Overseas,
Russia.
yeah.
So
to play ball.
to your earlier point, you have Brittany who had to go abroad.
Uh-huh.
You have Caitlin Clark, who's a newer generation,
Uh-huh.
who's getting her endorsement deals are like more than enough
Way
for her
more
to
than enough.
sustain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of like this new wave and this new generation, social media playing a very key part.
100%.
There's so many different like blocks that tie into this. There's also the old mentality that, you know, whether you agree to it or not, that, you know, sports is just not as entertaining with women versus men. There are some people who probably have that mindset. So it's a question of like trust. Is there enough?
Yeah, depending on the sport for sure. But
Yes.
yes, I understand the sentiment.
'Cause
Yes.
if you think about it, the sports within which there's more equity in terms of pay between men and women are things like tennis or track
that's
and
what I'm saying,
field.
track and field,
Yeah.
something.
Swimming, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to think, what are the things that make those sports more equitable? And I think it's supply and demand. So people are willing to watch those sports. So,
Yes.
for example, you think about tennis, whether it's the US Open, French Open, Wimbledon, people go out there, buy the tickets, buy the merchandise and things of that nature. Whereas obviously because of the fact that the WNBA is so new in comparison to the NBA, and obviously they haven't merged that gap, there just isn't the supply that's there. It's just not there. So I think that they just have to be cognizant of the fact that, yes, there is room to grow, but it's going to take time. You can't just ask for whatever X percentage when you're not necessarily making that profit yet.
Sometimes this is what happens when you have a star.
Yeah.
When you have a star like a Caitlin Clark, everyone feels like there needs to be a pay raise because the visibility she brought to the game, her and Angel Reese and the younger generation, they brought a lot of eyes to the game. So with their big ascension and making the league like relevant, because I'll be honest, before those two came in,
nobody was talking about
any game.
Yeah.
Can anyone name more than 5 WNBA players?
I can give you the Aces. I think Valkyries.
I mean, just
Sparks, LA Sparks.
I mean, think about when the WNBA
Fever,
season
Indiana
starts.
Fever.
Okay.
Chicago Sky. I got it.
There you go.
I watched the shit.
Like, I was looking this up. The WNBA season starts in May. What's happening in the NBA in May?
They're on off season.
No, it's
Playoffs.
Oh yeah, they start in May. Damn, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
they start
everybody's
the
already
playoffs.
glued.
You're locked in.
Yeah.
TV, viewership, everything is all focused on the playoffs.
Yeah, because playoffs are like the tail end of the playoffs.
It's like June-ish around there.
tail end of the playoffs is.
But speaking of big paydays, I don't know if you guys heard, and speaking of athletes and athletics, I don't know if you guys heard the story of Shannon Sharpe. He was accused of grape not too long ago.
Oh yeah,
and he had basically a 50. What was it? 50 million. He was getting sued for 50 million.
Sued, for 50
from
million.
like so Shannon Sharpe's a former NFL player, Hall of Famer. He's about 57 years old. He was dealing with, I think, a 21-year-old at the time, and he got into like some legal issues where she sued him for 50 million, basically accusing him of grape. And pretty much that was a big headline because he works at ESPN and all these big, he has a big podcast, very popular these days, as you guys know. Now the case has been settled. And apparently, the number is coming out that he paid out upwards of 20 million.
23 mil.
23 million.
It's actually more than he made in his NFL career. So he's made 22 million in his whole career, and he's paying her out 23.
So he's paying her out 23 million for the allegation. But what I didn't understand is because in the court documents, kind of said that they agreed that the relationship was like tumultuous but consensual. But he still had to pay out the settlement. Now that's probably for damages and everything of that nature. But what's your thoughts? Also, this woman has now, day after this settlement, she has officially retired off OnlyFans.
Yeah, man. Put a jersey in the rafters.
Put the jersey. Buddy, forget about that jersey. Put that jersey in the rafters because she's the number one. She's the one that got
somebody.
it.
That's a woman
That's
that
a
a lot
Hall
of
of
women
Famer.
should look up to. It's like,
She
oh
needs
my
to take
goodness.
his Hall of Fame jersey. She's in the Hall of Fame by far.
Oh God.
So what's your thoughts on that? When these when women in maybe this type of scenario, I don't know what the situation was. They did say it's tumultuous and consensual, but the damages have been done. Obviously, she came out and said what had been said, but again, the charges are dropped, everything settles, a civil case. What's your thoughts just on those situations?
I just think it's a massive shame because even if I think about myself and what I think about Shannon and other sort of stars who have obviously made the pivot from their career to the podcast space, he was somebody that I sort of watched quite a lot, enjoyed his stories, enjoyed hearing about his career. And it's a tough situation because obviously you have this disconnect where you sometimes put some of these stars or athletes or sort of entertainers on a pedestal, and you understand they're human. And obviously you can say from an external perspective, him messing with somebody who is 30 plus years younger, and putting his career in massive jeopardy because ultimately now he's lost his, from what I'm aware, his ESPN endorsements. And his popularity is still good. He's still present,
but he lost someone.
So it just makes you think that as a man who's successful, as a man who has a lot to lose, you have to move very carefully. And you can think about all the viral moments about people warning him on his podcast. I think people were doing it in jest, but obviously if you think about Cat Williams' situation,
Yeah.
I can't remember who else it was that basically, it was Monique was on the podcast as well.
That was a big one too. Yeah.
Exactly. And obviously these were jokes at the time, but to actually see it's come complete full circle.
Full
It's
circle.
crazy to look at.
It's actually really crazy. How about yourself, Andrew? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just to echo Francis's points. Like, obviously, when you're like rise to fame, popularity, you have all these endorsement deals. You really have to move strategically, and I think more so than ever, like who you engage with and what their intentions are. Like, you really have to do that. And sometimes when you feel like you're at the top, maybe to a certain degree, you feel like you can just get away with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just one small example of so many different instances that we've heard about.
See, but that's what I say. Is it like par for the course? Like, I mean, like, is that just what's bound to happen? Like, I mean, aren't I feel like if we're gonna say people are human, then humans make mistakes. So you're gonna get caught slipping. Not to say that type of his case is extreme, right? What she was accusing him of.
It's his fault.
and that was like very extreme. But you know, again, they did say it was a tumultuous, consensual situation. But still, the allegation got dropped. And in that sense, what could he have done to prevent the allegation to be thrown out? Because that's where I'm looking at it. I'm coming. They agreed as a tumultuous and consensual relationship, but then it's like, okay, obviously you're not allowed to do certain things in a relationship, and rape is never, you know, something that you should be doing, and it can happen in a relationship. But at the end of the day, it's like, how do you prevent that coming out? And that's what I mean. Is a par for the course of a successful man that's dealing with strange women.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, then the only way you can slightly protect yourself is just being with somebody that you've been with, right? Like, other than going outside and trying new, different, you know, experiments.
That's so tough
because you're gonna be vulnerable. You're gonna be exposed in one way or another.
I'll tell you why it's tough. It's tough in both sense because, for one, he could have been married, right? And still, there's that possibility of a divorce happening, and you're still losing loads of money,
but you can't.
right?
No, but what I'm saying is, in that situation, that would be cheating. Like, in his situation, he's single and he's just dealing with a woman.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just saying, if you were single and successful,
I think,
and you're dealing with any, like, just a woman, you know, any woman, because whatever. Okay, she's 30 years younger, but he has money, so we're gonna assume the woman's gonna be at least 20.
But look at Leonardo
plus,
DiCaprio, right? He's known for only dealing with women that are about 23, 24 tops. Tops. So I think by the time they hit 25, they're out of there. He's a ruthless guy. He's ruthless.
At 25,
25, you're out.
Pack
Like,
your
that 25th
bags.
birthday, pack your bags, you're out of
Pack your
here.
bags, I'm replacing you.
But the thing is, he gets no grief for it.
Yeah.
Like,
it
I
doesn't
mean,
get the public media.
The public media
backlash.
is not destroying them.
No.
You know, they're not dragging them through the mud. Nothing of that sort. But then when you see Shannon Sharpe, couple shades darker, all of a sudden they're dragging them through the mud. And I'm kind of wondering, wait, what's this double standard that's going on?
Like, for the age discrepancy, especially.
Bill Belichick.
Bill
Belichick,
Belichick,
yeah.
this
Another
is
one. 25-year-old.
and he's
like
70
70-something.
71, I think.
71.
Yeah.
And he has a young girl. Nobody's saying anything. He brought it
Well,
to the...
they bring it up.
They bring it up, but he's still bringing her to award shows. He's not getting dragged through the mud.
I think in these situations, we also have to dive deeper into what are the contexts in terms of words that were expressed between the guy and the girl. Because I think ever now more so than ever, what you do is one thing, but also in terms of how you express yourself, the words that you can use, some people can use that as a weapon against you
Yeah.
in this day and age. So in the cases of Leonard, like, is it as simple as like, hey, turns 25, hey, this was cool. Something else. So there, it's like he just wanted to end it, move on.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't really sue anyone about that. So I believe like the words underneath this, because I think with what these men now have to realize is somebody who's, let's say for Shannon, in the case of Shannon Sharpe, dating somebody 50s versus somebody who's in their 20s, different people. Times have changed.
Oh, of
Yes.
course.
How
Times
they
have
think
changed.
is
You're right.
different.
Yeah, the thought process is different.
You know what I mean? The thought process is different. So I think in this day and age, even if you're dating somebody in a different like decade, you need to also understand like how they move, what influences them. So I think just having those conversations, seamless conversations, like, hey, what makes you tick? What are you interested, etc. You pick certain cues, so to speak.
I also think that a mistake that Shannon made as well from like looking at the transcripts is the forms of communication as well.
Yes,
I think
100%. That was
He put himself in his
Definitely.
own coffin.
100%. And I think that you just have to be very careful when you're in that situation. You cannot move like a regular person.
No,
It's impossible.
absolutely.
He was moving way, but
way
he's
too
moving like
reckless.
me. He's moving, he's moving like me. I'm like, what's going on,
God.
Shannon? Like, what, you didn't
Yeah,
realize
very
you're a
reckless.
millionaire? Like, I don't.
No, but the thing is, he's lived for so long. You would think that somebody would have.
But
like,
maybe it's like
some-
he was saying with the older generations, like generationally, his mindset is
Exactly, his
different.
mindset is different.
Like him
Okay.
talking on the phone, he's not expecting a recording.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
he's not
True.
expecting
Yeah.
Exactly.
a potential lawsuit. Probably,
Yeah.
maybe not, right?
Yeah,
like he's probably like,
true.
she's a dumb 21-year-old.
Yeah, true.
What? How is she gonna get over on me? I'm literally like, how much years older than
Yeah.
her? And that arrogance
Yeah.
is probably what
Underestimated
landed
her.
him underestimating
Yeah.
a 21-year-old. You're
Yeah.
like 57, but it's like, yeah, I'm 21, but you have everything to lose. I have nothing to lose.
So
Like,
do you think that if you had that level of fame and finance, how would you go about dating?
that would be tough. If I was at his age, but I mean, his circumstance, I know he has children and stuff like that, so he can live as a bachelor. But I mean, if he didn't have kids, it'd be pretty tough to like figure out like a genuine relationship. And maybe you just have to concede to the fact that whatever woman you get with is probably going to be there just mainly for like your resources. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's what I would concede to the thought. It'd be tough for me to give full
sure.
trust.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I don't think I'd wholeheartedly trust
Yeah.
any woman I dated if I was like 10 million up.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about it, at one point it's like it's hard for you to think like that in that moment because at one point it's like I've made it. You know what I mean? I've made X number of figures. I'm getting all this attention. You're loving it, right? So it's also that balance, so to speak, of like how do you maintain it
Yeah.
to like keep them coming, but also securing yourself, whereby, you
I seen this thing on John Cena.
Yeah.
Nikki
That guy.
Nikki Bella. So they've been together for like.
But mention
years.
who they are.
So John Cena's a wrestler, WWE. He's been famous. Like I don't even remember what year he came out, but
Early
he's been
2000s.
he's been killing the game. You know, he's in movies,
Yeah.
doing amazing. Nikki Bella also wrestler in the WWE and beautiful woman. But again, John Cena, he's been through a divorce before. He does not want to go through it again. He's seen how ugly it was the first time. So he's been so adamant about like protecting himself, like by all means necessary. So he made her sign like a 75-page documentation
Oh wow.
before she can enter his Tampa Bay mansion. Like
and pretty much it says like when they break up, she just takes her stuff and leaves.
and leaves. That's it.
Yeah.
Are
That's it.
Again, are these
She's
things
a guest
actually,
in the house. Basically,
guest,
the
yeah.
main stipulation was that she's a guest
Okay.
in the house,
Yes.
not a
Not an actual.
because
yeah.
that's where they get you in terms of the common law.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he must have been talking to a lot of lawyers.
Lawyers,
You know,
figured out the
Okay.
loophole.
figured out the
loopholes.
loopholes, how you can get got. Because he already
Yeah.
got before. So he's like, it's not gonna happen twice.
Because we have to understand and realize as well that for certain women, it's a finesse. So
Yes.
there's
Yes.
a massive culture of people out there
course.
right now who will, because you even hear the stories that go viral about people waiting for the NBA drafts, going to the All-Star weekends,
100%,
and plotting
100%.
and preying on those sorts of
They're about
situations.
to hit you
and-
with one right now.
Predators.
and that's
yeah.
the thing. As a young man, you're going to be naive, and you're going to
Yeah.
think, "Wow, this is the first time that I've experienced these flocks of women coming after me." So it's so difficult to be in those because we can talk and say, "Oh yeah, I would never do that." I
No,
would
it's
fall for that."
easy.
Yeah,
completely
it's
different
easy.
when you're in the
Yeah.
position.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But speaking of that, I find that like to segue it, there's an app. I don't know if you guys
Yeah, I
heard
saw
about
that,
it
T
called T.
Yeah.
The T app.
Oh yeah, when women can kind of
Yes,
share
yes,
feelings.
yes.
So it's funny how they always have like defense mechanisms to figure out, you know, certain things when it comes to men,
Yeah.
right? But then they criticize when men want to have certain defensive mechanisms to protect themselves. So,
But
tell me about
I
the
want
T
to
app.
talk about
Yeah,
just the T app
yeah.
because it's an interesting app. So I seen it recently, as you guys probably seen too on Instagram. So this T app basically is an app where I guess women can upload photos of men they've interacted with and stuff like that, and you can kind of like post it probably in some type of forum, and then discussions can be had about the person. Is a good guy, experiences, dates, blah blah blah, or you can inquire about him. So women have done this, and I guess this is an American app, and it went to like #1 when this app came out, like #1 downloaded and stuff like that. But then recently it got hacked, or breached, and pretty much everyone that subscribed basically got their ID and information leaked. So that's not good. It's all woman app, right? But it was an interesting app when I heard about the fact that, you know, it's a T app. Like you pretty much are trying to get the T on men you're dealing with for
Explain
good
what
or for
the
bad.
T
And the
means.
T
What does that mean?
means, you know, trying to figure out whether the person you're dealing with is authentic, basically. Are they lying? Are they dating around? Do they have baby moms? Are they married? Et cetera, right? Just pretty much trying to weed out everything, you know, with a fine-tooth comb, pretty much. So what's your thoughts just on that being the #1 download app in America at the time before the hack has happened? Why do you think women would rush to an app of that nature? Do you think that's something that would help their dating process or hurt their dating process?
I think it's initially why it's become the #1, I guess, like app in popularity is to help. I think it's just an extended form of what they've already been doing, in the sense that they have these conversations already. They'll go have a conversation with their girlfriends about, oh, there's this guy, you know about him, whether it's in a smaller community, bigger city, etc. I feel like it already does happen. Now, what this is allowing is that it's a platform that's allowing you to have more access to more women, or share this person that you're interested in or intimate with, to see what's out there. So I think it's already been there, in my opinion. Now, whether it's going to be helpful down the road, I mean, it's really yet to see.
No, I don't think so at all.
No?
I really don't
Hit
think
him
so.
up. Let's hear it.
Helpful
Let's hear
to
it.
who? To
Let's
women,
hear.
or?
I think there's two ways to think about it. So I do think there've been similarities. Like on Facebook, there's been, are we dating the same guy? And there's been those sort of groups that people get caught up in.
Blacklist.
But I think that with these groups, what's going to happen is that, yes, there'll be some legitimate things here and there about certain guys. But if there's a bad experience that there's been no fault of the guy, and actually the relationship hasn't worked out very well, somebody's posted on there, then there will be some people that will ultimately be like, oh yeah, I don't like this guy, therefore I'm going to say X, Y, and Z about him. And that's going to tarnish and smear somebody's name.
100%.
And I think that there's no way to really police these things. Like whatever that person is saying in that particular situation is going to be taken by other people as sort of the consensus. And it's a unilateral opinion. That's all it is. So I think that these sort of apps, they'll obviously take fire because it's interesting, it's gossip and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think that for me, it's more damaging than good.
That's what I thought. I thought it's going to be more of a gossip app where people can say stuff about others and there's no accountability towards that. There's no, because there's no cross reference of the guy. Like the guy can't defend himself or even know what's being posted on him. And we got to put it in this perspective. If we just flip it, like just imagine if you applied to a job, right? And imagine if they could, when you went to your employer, they can have something where they can see like what your personality is like how people.
They're already
like,
doing that. It's called social media.
Well, yes, but that's like what you're posting.
Yeah,
like, and
no,
stuff
but
of that
still,
nature.
they use that as a reference
but imagine
point.
if like other people could just like reference like whether they like you or not. Say you're qualified for a job, but say it's just they can just base off your personality.
Okay.
Like you get what I mean? They say they did a personality check to just see if you're compatible for the work environment.
So
even though you're able to do the work, but say it's like a compatibility thing, and then they go, oh no, that person, he's an asshole or whatever, and then say they can only see that part of it, then you'd never get a job. It's like the same thing for like, it's just because there's no defense mechanism in terms of a guy. And like he said, if a woman just felt like she had a bad situation with a guy and wants to post him and say bad things about him, that can always be the case. Like it doesn't necessarily, it can be just gossip.
So you could be dragged through the mud, yeah.
There's no, like, it's just people believing, like everyone blind witness, blind following. Like you're just all following what someone else is saying anonymously.
I hear where you're coming from. I think the comparison with job hire or work environment, I feel like, at least in my experience, like there's so many people who, would you say they're the greatest person, the greatest human being? No, but they're good at their job. And I feel like that's where in the work environment, it's more so focused on, are you actually good at your job? I don't believe, I mean, I would love to believe, but not everybody gets along in the work environment. But it's the question is, whether, depending on the departments, can people gel? Yes, I understand that it's important for people to be able to gel and have some sort of vibe with each other. But I mean, I'm sure we've had in our own different experiences people who we think are not the greatest human being, but they're either leadership or they're doing something and they're killing it. You know what I mean? So I feel like I hear where you're coming from, that the comparison about being in a job environment and saying, is this person good or bad? But I don't think that that's only one fraction of the equation.
Okay. I guess yes, in the sense of obviously dating, or in the sense of, that's the reason why I say it's an interesting app, is because there's no ability for someone to know, like in terms of a guy especially, we don't know if we're posted on it, we don't know what's said about us on it, and even the women that are on it, they're only gonna believe or see what's posted on it. So there's only one perspective that you have.
100%. And I think that's why I say, like, it's no different than two
girls
girls
talking to themselves,
going, having some tea and talking about
so
it.
you think it's no difference if you have a database of, like, say even 5,000 women compared to your 2-3 women?
I don't think, I don't, there is a difference in terms of, like, you have more people who have access to that information, but in terms of the activity, it's always been there. It's just now in a much bigger platform, whereby if I was only dating people, let's say in Ontario, and now I have a database of some people in, I don't know, Vancouver, or you know what I mean. So it's just amplified it more, but it's still a practice that's still going on.
So how about in this case, say you're working somewhere, say you have a corporate job or something like this, and now you landed on that app. And now people that you work with are on that app, and they seen you on that app, and that could potentially affect you because you get negative things said about you potentially.
It
like,
depends.
you don't think that can be an issue for somebody?
I don't think so.
Like having like a bad reputation?
Like, I guess it depends.
Like a negative reputation. Like, say you're a playboy, like whatever, you're doing this, you're sleeping with this girl, doing that, doing whatever, like something that would put you in a negative light if you had like a good reputation.
It could put you in a negative light in certain social settings, but in the corporate world, like if you're single, you're doing your job, you're going on dates, you're not necessarily committed to anybody, but you're going on dates.
I guess you're saying there's nothing to be worried about.
I at least from like my observation, there hasn't been anything where it's like it replicates there. It only gets really interesting if you're married. You see what I mean? Like, just looking at like how society works. Like, if you're married, then you've already made a commitment. Now, if you're dating and it comes out, that's where it becomes a bit like.
That's interesting, because I always heard in the corporate world, they would like you to be married rather than being single, because they feel that a person that is married can commit. Yeah. And a person that is single can just kind of bounce around. Like, it's like almost like a characteristic trait that they compare it to.
Interesting. Okay.
So, like, in terms of if you're trying to get higher up the corporate ladder, like you'll have a ceiling.
Right.
Right. Now, if you have a family and you have kids, a wife,
right.
You know, you could connect more with the other guys that are up there, right? So that's like your families are mingling and so on and so forth. But if you're a single guy, then you don't have those type of bonds and stuff.
I completely agree with that. And I think that also it's geographical location as well, because when you've got a family, wife, children, etc., then it's difficult for you to then relocate, to take your kids out of school, etc. So I think that in the corporate world, they do value those aspects because ultimately, as a single guy, it's not that difficult to up and leave and go somewhere else because it's just your life that you're rerouting compared to everybody else that you may have to shift their whole dynamics as well.
That makes sense.
But now we're about to wrap it up.
Okay.
You know, I just felt like this podcast went in so many different directions. A whole roller coaster. Like I
spun
heard,
the block. Like,
holy smokes! This
all
was
over the
amazing.
place,
This
yeah.
was amazing.
Good one.
Definitely enjoyed you guys coming out. I appreciate you
100%.
guys for coming out. What was your thoughts on the podcast before you left? Before you're leaving, tell me what a quick thought on your first experience in the podcast.
Yeah, so like I always think that it's really good personally to put yourself out your comfort zone. And something like this isn't necessarily the most natural or sort of something that I would go out and do on a typical basis. But I think that as you have a conversation, it's just with friends. Ultimately,
Yes.
and it flows really well. So it's been a great experience for me personally.
There we go.
That's good.
No, I echo what Fran said. Like getting out of your comfort zone. Yes, it's a trend that everybody's on podcasts now, and you see like how natural they are. So just getting this opportunity to engage with friends, have unique conversations, and also just like network, I think is so unique and it's valuable. So no, I appreciate you guys like hosting us and giving us this opportunity.
No worries, brother.
Okay.
It's great having definitely both of you gentlemen on the podcast. We appreciate your opinions on the topics we had. Of course, as always, my brother, appreciate him. He reached out for you guys to come on, so shout out to him.
And this is Far From Normal Podcast, and we are out.
Deuces.